This is Things You Might Not Have Heard. I'm Jay Cleveland Payne, and today, boy, have I got news for you. 8 stories in the queue from Thursday going into this Friday morning, and stories that you told me should be enjoyable because you literally told us these were stories that were worthy of talking about. You helped us pick these as conversational stories. We'll explain that in a bit, but let's get into the headlines, covering a lot of good news today. Some not so great news today, including Hurricane Helene, Caitlin Clark, and Hoda Kotb, all ladies of power for the vetting process. And remind you right now that our website, our home online, is this. It's a conversationproject.com. Find out more about how we do these things and the whys and the value you get from our news coverage. We are a news aggregator, your secondary source of news, your news side piece, if you will, but we give you great news coverage along the way. Also, our email address, the conversation inbox at gmail.com, allows you to speak with us anytime you want to frequent it. Today, Friday, September the 27th, 2024. Let's get into the news headlines. No particular orders as these stories come through, but we'll give you some context on how they played in the day that was yesterday. The one that's the biggest one to talk about because everyone has something to say on it. And the headlines have changed. Yesterday, late in the evening, as essentially I was putting this thing to bed, we knew we were going to talk about Hurricane Helene and when it hit landfall going forward. Hours later, it hit landfall late last night and is moving fairly quickly. The headline we have for story number one is Helene rumbles into Georgia as dangerous Cat 1 hurricane after slamming Florida. Helene at the moment is still a tropical storm, but it's still going through Georgia, going pretty quickly at 25 miles an hour, and has caused 4 deaths so far. 1 in North Carolina, 2 in Georgia, 1 in Florida, I believe. But they're causing issues in North Carolina, not even so much South Carolina, with the rain and the winds that are already progressing in this very large, massive storm, which is moving very quickly. Atlanta is seeing some water rescues, which is not exactly what you expect for Atlanta these days. And Florida hit very hard as the crushing Category 4 winds hit the coast last night, about 140 miles per hour winds at that various parts as storm surges. Storm surges in many areas that are extremely low lying are so amazing that many places hours before the storm was going to cut near to the mainland were already flooded in Florida. Places that they knew were basins that would be flooded fairly quickly were flooded before the hurricane eye was anywhere nearby. This has been a very catastrophic storm. So far, the loss of life has been minimum, but we're looking at around 3 million customers in the swath from Florida to Georgia to the Carolinas out of power at the moment. And it's still a tropical storm, still going through the heart of the Georgia to Peach State. So if it finds its way back towards water and picks up more steam, it could be a big issue for everyone on the East Coast. Right now, if you're in the wake or in the path of it, please be safe. If it's gone past you, we hope that your recovery is going to go very well. Let's get to some actual news. And these are world issues that are going to really affect all of us. You may not want to deal with it, but guess what? We're going to deal with it. Let's start off with Benjamin Netanyahu, who has vowed to use full force against Hezbollah and dims hopes for a ceasefire. The Israeli prime minister has vowed to continue to use full force against Hezbollah. And that statement basically says a ceasefire with Hezbollah or anybody probably ain't happening anytime soon. The decision comes as Israel escalates the strikes on Hezbollah targets, and especially around southern Lebanon, following the ongoing rocket attacks that's coming from them. Netanyahu's comments to intensify the military action diminishes the prospects of any sort of ceasefire, despite the international calls for de-escalation. Everyone wants this thing to be done with before it gets really, really, really worse, if that's possible, and it is. Conflict has raised concerns over the future regional destabilization. The United States is sending more troops to the nearby region just in case, and we don't want that just in case to come about. Now, if you're watching the video feed of this one, you see this picture of former President Donald Trump and current president of Ukraine, Vladimir Zelensky, from a photo op back when Trump was president and Zelensky got his visit. That's a whole nother tall tale in itself. And just the body language, we went with the one with the worst body language because we wanted you to see this in detail. That's how Trump looks in all his meetings, kind of bored, I guess that's his power move, just looking like he's bored. And Zelensky's just looking like, what the hell have I got myself into? Well, we're getting to this thing again, as Zelensky and Trump will meet sometime today, despite some criticism from Trump on what Zelensky has done in the war effort, or the war effort that probably should not have been. Former President Donald Trump is going to have a meeting with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky today, at Trump Tower. It comes despite various claims that Trump has thrown out towards Zelensky, saying that he's bad at war. This shouldn't have happened. And if, he were still the president, Russia would not have came in, rolled in place. Now, this also comes in conflict with what why Zelensky is bashing out at Trump, because Trump's running mate has this great plan where they're just going to give the land over back to Russia because, they're there, and have a demilitarized zone just like in Korea, because that sounds like a great idea for someone to just roll into your country, take over land that didn't want to be taken over, and just destroy it, and then just, give it to them because they're Russia or something like that. Trump has faced criticism on his stance against Ukraine, which has been long-standing because, Ukraine was a whole part of the reason why he got impeached. And the scheduled meeting does show a shift in tone, although we will find out after the meeting just how much tone will be played in the tone. So it's amazing to think that Robert Smith still looks like this. But guess what? The Cure is out again with a new album and new songs after 16 years of not doing anything, or at least touring and not doing anything new. A new track called Alone is out, and a new album's coming out for you to see, listen to, and buy more tickets. It's amazing. That's all we're going to say. The Cure is back in town, or will back in town when they start touring again with their new album Alone, new song from new album Alone, new stuff from Robert Smith, who, yes, still looks exactly like that. Time is a capsule, and apparently he's working that capsule extremely well. This is the part where we take a quick pause in the news and ask you for a little bit of support to help us get our news gathering, get our news production a little bit further. We're asking you to like our productions, share our videos, and subscribe to the feeds if you're not subscribed to. Like what you're seeing here so that, one, I know I've got the right path. I'm picking the right stories, the right things coming up. And two, other people see that they're good enough to check out, and they'll get into the whole conversational event we do right here. Share with some folks that will love it, because they will initially watch it, listen to it. They may like it as well, and be more conversational as going forward. And if you're not getting this one in your feeds automatically, we're just popping up randomly, subscribe. You can hit the notification buttons so these things will tell you when we're out there, so you get the notification when we're live. But the biggest thing we will need you to do is just subscribe, and then check your feed so you see what's happening when it happens. It works out for all of us, if you will, that we get more conversational people, more things in the queue, more things to talk about in these venues. Like, share, and subscribe so more people can be involved in what we do here daily. We're going to talk Caitlin Clark, and this is big news, bigger than you would think on this one. Now, because of the pay gap between the NBA and the WNBA, the men make a lot more money on playing basketball and get a lot more money in endorsements. And so the men, when they're on their off season, drive around beyond, if MTV Cribs is still on, whatever, do other things, become music producers, writers, act in films, things like that they can do because it's off season stuff. The women go play basketball in Europe, and this is why Brittany Griner got arrested, because she went to make some more money playing basketball in Russia, because they pay women players a lot better out there for what's going on, and they love foreign players who keep their teams up. Clayton Clark is not going to play basketball in the off season. And what's really important about this one is there's a new 3-on-3 league that's being produced for off season folks, so that the WNBA players can get a little extra money and play here in the States. But Clark is not going overseas, not playing any overseas leagues, and not playing in this 3-on-3 tournament this season. She's taken off basketball after a rookie year. She probably has earned it because she has a little extra NIL money. She has a little endorsement money. So she probably earned the right to, not have to make that extra money, which is good, but also shows she's planning to rest up and prepare for herself for her next season in basketball in the league. Although when we say extra practice and training might work out with extra competition, she's focused on her WNBA goals. She might do a movie. Maybe she has some things planned up, but she's not playing basketball in any professional manner, any organized manner in this offseason after her remarkable rookie year. A remarkable year in years for Newsmax, as this year we're going to have a wrap up, an ending to settlement. Now, this is something that actually hits me personally, because personal news, if you're a subscriber, if you're a partner, if you've seen some of the background videos going on, we have some issues going forth, and I had to work through an issue yesterday for a lawsuit settlement. Not me, for an organization I'm part of. Newsmax just had a settlement with Smartmatic, the people that made the election machines that people said, like Newsmax said, were rigged from the 2020 election claims, and they've now settled. There was a really, really super duper, really heavy lawsuit where a lot of money was in play. And Newsmax, one of the groups that were saying, the voting machines was what rigged the election, is why Donald Trump is not the president, which is all false. And they sued and they won. And the conspiracy theories will not be squashed, but Newsmax will be out a lot of money going forward. There's no disclosure for the terms. That means we don't know how much money was actually paid, but we do know all words should stop going back and forth on this issue. Both Newsmax and Smartmatic will stop talking about the issue. They'll start talking about this issue particularly. They will still keep telling people that their voting machines are valid. Newsmax needs to stop talking about this issue in particular and should stop talking about voting machines being invalid, or at least Smartmatic, if they are, that being Newsmax, smart enough. More big news in the news scene, and this is the departure of Hoda Kotb from the NBC Today show after 5 years as a co-anchor. Now, Hoda came in on Today 5 years ago as a way to buffer and save NBC and Today show from itself. After the loss of Matt Lauer, we're not even going to why that was a loss, they needed some new directions, new things to go with. And they went with a 2 female co-anchor status. And Hoda was beloved. It was one of those, I'll say one of those her time to shine type moments. And she stuck in there and she made it happen. Hoda and Savannah, as the co-host, the actual host for today's show, kept this thing, maybe not the pure rating juggernaut it once was, but basically kept the happy smiles, things going forward, bringing in some old hands like Al to stick around as well. And some Carson Daly may help as well. Now she is going to wrap up somewhere in early 2025 to an unspecified role at NBC, not leaving the network, but being 17 years working on Today itself, and for a lot much longer being at NBC, doing other things. We will see what else she does, because trust me, she's doing great things. Chances are she'll find a way to hang out in the morning show, after show, the show she used to do with Kathy Lee, now that she does with Jenna Bush Hager, because, dude, not just so much fun watching them do that show. We'll see what our next chapter is in early 2025. And we are not going to talk about the Hallmark Channel playing Christmas movies like starting next week. We're not going to talk about that. We'll explain what that all means. So Christina with a K, my beautiful wife, is losing out on that battle. But this is a story that I have so many jokes for, but I'm going to hold them back because she also loves her some Bridgerton. And she would have gone to this thing and she would have been disappointed and would have cussed me out, when this thing happened, even though I would have told her not to go. The headline for our 8 story for today: disappointed Detroit Bridgerton ball attendees say they were scammed. It's like it was Fire Festival all over again, except in big, beautiful ball gowns and a really, really poorly decorated ballroom. The Bridgerton-themed ball in Detroit has left attendees feeling scammed after the event failed to meet expectations. That's an understatement in many ways. The guests reported issues like undercooked food served by the staff in sports jerseys, dirty plates, and missing promised features like cash prizes and a Diamond of the Season award. Whatever that was, it didn't happen. Many attendees are now demanding refunds, expressing their disappointment through posts on social media for people to see and some people to sort of ridicule. Organizers have faced significant backlash, and some attendees are considering a class action lawsuit over the poorly managed event. This year, we've had Willy Wonka. We've had all sorts of odd things. We've had Bridgerton and bad performances. You might want to double check your Eventbrite tickets next time you have something pop up in your local area to have a theme type something. Look into the actual people going there. This is something that I've learned doing radio and working with, not for concert promoters, because things like that happen. If people don't get enough early attendance, early ticket sales, the promoter will usually cancel the show. But they wait for the last minute because people in the town don't really believe that person is coming until they're actually days away and they say they're going to happen. How this thing came to be what it was, you have to read the story and go deeper in detail on how Bridgerton did not actually show up in Detroit a week ago. But this is one that, like I said, there are so many jokes that could be said for this one. But I definitely do feel for the people who just wanted to enjoy a little ballroom dancing, a little Bridgerton flair, and paid a couple bucks to hang out with their Bridgerton fans and friends. And the organizers essentially just took their money and don't particularly care. Now, let's go to our teaser story for the day. The teaser story is a story we do as a part of the Conversation Project, where we go into detail on how we get the stories in place and what we can talk about in the future. That is the wrong graphic. No, that's the right graphic. There we go. Getting back to the old buttons, they're a little confusing. We're making it all work. But the teaser story is a story we can talk about at this point come Monday, because it's Friday. And this is how we get our stories into our headlines from our feeds. Our feeds are on Facebook and X and on Threads. Threads.net/@ this is the conversation. X.com/th_conversation. Facebook.com/this is the conversation project. What you do is you just go to those feeds all day, every 50 minutes or so, all the time. We're posting news articles for you to engage in. The higher engaging stories, the better chance we have to talk about them. It's that simple. You just click on the story you like, hit the emoji face that you like or dislike, engage in it in comments, and the higher the score we get, the better chance of talking about it. For Monday, we'll give you 10 stories in this headline show. Of the top 30 or so stories from the weekend, we'll get 90 in the weekend to give you from there going forward. Today, 8 stories from the top half of the day, about 30 in the day, and we picked 8 of those top stories to present to you. We'll explain how we did not talk about one story in just a moment, but let's give you what this actual headline we're going to tease right now. We think this one will make the deal, and it has to last all weekend to be engaging enough to take a look at it. So we've talked a lot about X and talked a lot about Brazil and Elon Musk. Now, X is requesting to be reinstated in Brazil after complying with judges' orders, essentially to stop broadcasting X using the internet service, the Starlink service that Musk is using. So Musk is no longer pirate radioing X. So Musk wants to get Brazil back on X officially, because in all seriousness, it is a crackdown on free speech to have that happen. So X is trying to do things the right way. There'll probably be some more compliances going forward. Read the article about the request and what's actually going to be brokered back and forth to get X back on the Brazilian phones there. And you can see that by just going to our feeds and let us know if this is a story worth talking about. Now, yesterday we teased in the spot the Hallmark releasing its Countdown to Christmas movie release lineup like Tuesday, which has movies starting maybe not the first week of October, but definitely the second weekend, and all weekend until around the 22nd of December, all the way up until Christmas, where they'll start playing some rerun stuff on Christmas Day. There it is. Go back and search for it, because this one did not get any love in the 8 stories a day. That's how it works. You have to actually engage in it going forward. If you want to talk about X in Brazil, engage in it. We'll talk about it in like full detail there. If you don't want to talk about something, many other stories to engage in, you let us know what's out there. We'll do what we can to get into those stories. Let's talk about right now our spotlight sponsor for this week. It has been the Conversation. Well, actually, not the Conversation Project book. It's been a more media book, which is part of the conversation. And it's on affirmations, 100 daily affirmations for positivity and confidence. This is a book that I wrote months back on sort of a whim after seeing other things on affirmations, knowing that I use affirmations myself, and seeing what was lacking in affirmation books, an explanation on why they were good and how they work. So for this book, I have 100 affirmations. So you can pick one. You can pick one of them a day, more than one a day. You can read on 100 a day if you have that much time. But these are ones, affirmations that you can repeat yourself daily or hourly or however you want to. And each affirmation that I produced for this book has 5 different underlying reasons on why it should work for you. Maybe it will help you boost your mental confidence. Maybe help you change your rewire your brain, literally. Maybe it will help you remind yourself of better times. It gives a blurb on why this particular blurb will help you do better. And there's also a full chapter to begin with why affirmations can work and sometimes can't work. We ask you to check it out. Be fair with it. $10 book in paperback and $5 in Kindle or electronic. Check out the link inside of this presentation to buy this book, or if you want to buy it from another vendor, if Amazon's not your gig, search for 100 Affirmations Pain. We're in all other online bookstores as well. You can find us there as well. Quick moment to talk about us and chat up the Conversation Project as we wrap up the show for the day. The Conversation Project lives online at this. It's theconversationproject.com, our online home for the fun stuff, if you will, and fun stuff coming in just a moment. Now, Jimmy, just a bit, we're going to also hype up our partners in a second. So we'll give love to them specifically. But What I want you to know about the Conversation Project is we're there all for you all the time, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Go to our website. You can see past shows, past clips, past videos, past audios of what we've done. You can find ways to find us for the future stuff. All the links to everywhere we are that you can subscribe to are there as well. You can subscribe to our audio podcast, wherever your podcasts are cast. You can go to our newsletter, our email newsletter, which comes to you, and you get just the link straight to you without this is my face and my voice attached to it. And you can just conversate with us going forward. We have links online for our sponsorships page. All our sponsors are affiliate sponsors. If you buy from them, we get a small commission back, helps keep things going here. We'll talk about the partners in just a moment, but the most important thing you can do is just email us, and it costs you just a little bit of time. Our email address, theconversationinbox@gmail.com. Follow us on our feeds on Facebook, X, and Threads, where we look to see what stories get engaged. And when we see those engaged stories, we will talk more about them in the actual shows. That's how things work here for the Conversation Project. Now, let's talk a bit about our partnerships. Partnerships are very important for us here for the Conversation. And why they're important is because, like I said a moment ago, we have spots for sponsors, for people who can help us sponsor things going forward. But we also have people who directly sponsor or partner with us to help things go. And they also give more extra. They give extra input through some various channels we have. These are essentially our board of directors, our partners, listed in the sense of where they, or the tier that they have. These are monthly partners via the Buy Me a Coffee platform. Harold Braxton, Colby Green, and Eldon Kidd on the cup of coffee. That is $5 a month. And for $1 a month, yes, for $1 a month, you can contribute to us. Doesn't seem like much, but hey, giving us that dollar, it means something to me. Joy Winters with that spare change donation going forward. You can do that on a monthly basis. You can also go and send us money on one-time donations in Buy Me a Coffee, buy me individual coffees, or using Venmo or PayPal or Cash App. Those very popular one-way directing shows there as well. We will take all your funds and take good care as good stewards of what you provide for us, and we will do what we can to be good going forward. And all the bits of spare change comes in, helps us get more equipment, more time, more people to help this thing out to have a better running show. We've got more bits of equipment coming in here in bits and pieces, so you'll see better things coming forward, and hopefully you'll hear better things going forward and get better writing because I can get more people to commit to this thing because I want to pay good people. We need your help. Partners help us with that, and of course, partners get first crack at how things are going on behind the scenes, so they know what they know. And so that's the best way to find out what's going on and be a part of what's happening with the Conversation Project. That's it. We've done it for this Friday, September 27th, 2024. My name is Jacob Payne. This has been Things You Might Not Have Heard, some news stories to get your morning started off. And hopefully with enough time, you may have your YouTube running, but in audio form, you can play it on your commute, about 20 minutes in of news, so you can listen to it on your way into work and get a good start to your day. This is a supplement to your news. This is not the main news. We give you the big stories as well, but these are some stories you might not have missed. The Bridgerton story, I'm pretty sure Anderson Cooper is not going to cover that one in the whole story this weekend. I'm really positive that one. In the meantime, consider being a partner. Make sure you follow us in the feeds and email us whatever your thoughts at theconversationinbox@gmail.com. Like, share, and subscribe to our podcast, and be good people. Love you guys. Love you so much. So coming up in mere moments, I'm going to click this button, change some things. And if you're watching this live, we're going to do the things you might ought to know, the fun stuff, birthdays, holidays, and of course, history lessons for the day. You can see those in replays all day long, plus other clips on YouTube, other clips on TikTok happening as well. But if you're watching this in the replay world, comment on where you're calling from. We're calling from video, roadie stuff, where you're watching this from, how you're getting us, and what we're doing well and not so well. Be back with the weekend show, the show that is things, the weekly roundup, 12 stories from the week that we presented that I piqued my interest with more detail on those. And of course, we have the what do we have? The weekly columns coming up as well, and some more clicks on some things that may pop up just to keep us in flowing. Now I'm rambling. Now we're done. Now we're out of here. We'll talk to you guys in this form come Monday. What 10 stories will make the cut? You've got to work this weekend and let us know what we're going to do to make that cut happen.